This is a test of the boundary part alert system. Hello, welcome to this week's Latics Football Phone-In.
Hello.
You all right, Dave?
Yeah, pretty quiet day.
Yeah? Quiet day on Twitter?
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, it's gone very quiet now, though, I must say.
It's gone quiet now, yeah. I said something on the podcast which has pissed quite a few people off, and none of them are here to talk about it.
Wow.
So if you're one of them, please pick up the phone and click on the link, and give us a call, because I stand by what I said, and I'm more than happy to debate it with any of you. I think that there are fractions within this fan base that want to jump down people's neck at the first opportunity and give them grief.
Agreed.
And criticise. And people who take responsibility, they're more than happy to just to give them grief. And I think that, you know, if you can't give it, if you can't take it, don't give it, is what I'm saying. I think that negativity within the fan base has a negative effect on everybody around the place. I think we've got what we wanted. We've got new owners. They've brought in a manager. We've got players. Like, it's not going well. We know that. It's terrible. Yeah. The results haven't. We know that. That is obvious. And I'm not defending the record of Unsworth since he's come in. It's been dreadful.
It's not the best. But we can't keep on sacking people. Oh, let's sack him.
Well, what alternatives? What are the alternatives? And
boom, that works.
Well, I understand people's frustration. I'm asking people to think about it.
Boo! I'm joking.
I mean, like, if you would do, I know you do some work, don't you? Do you have someone standing over your shoulder when you make a mistake, booing you and giving you grief? Does it make you perform better or worse?
Well, you boo me on a daily basis, but
I do.
That's aside because we're friends. But
you enjoy it.
Yeah. No. To be fair, you're quite right. You know, no one likes being abused, and it's just abuse. It's just abuse, isn't it?
Here we go. Paddy's coming in here. We can sack managers until we get one who wins football matches.
That's really, really useful.
Right. I mean,
it's not antagonistic either, is it? That?
No, but okay. So maybe I'll come on and explain it a bit more. But like, we've been doing that for how many years now? How many years have we been sacking managers over and over and over again? And how many football matches have we been winning? Yeah. Like, it's not worked, has it? It's not worked. So the arguments for Unsworth going are obviously about the results. Right, the results are terrible. He needs to start picking up results. But if the board believe in him, then it's up to the board to make that decision as to what to do. Yeah. And as fans, our responsibility is supposed to be to support the team. And if we go to the ground and make it more difficult for them to perform, it's not really supporting the team, is it?
No.
And I don't see how there's a counter argument to that, even though people say, well, I'm frustrated and
I'm a fan, I'm more passionate, I go home and away. Yeah, we've heard it all before. It just doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean anything. It does mean something. It does.
We get it. We do get it. We're not like immune to the frustration of a football fan. We do understand. Yeah. But the point is that if our football club has been so shit for such a long time, how do we change the complete mentality? How do we work as a team from the board to the management, to the players, to the supporters? How do we all work together in a way which is constructive? In the past, we had to fight against the previous owners, and the club's been a complete mess. The club is a complete mess, and it's being rebuilt from the bottom up. And we're falling as some. And I want to make very clear, I'm not talking about all fans by any stretch of the imagination. I'm talking about a vocal set of fans, a vocal minority who are the same, who are sack shares, sack this. As soon as there's an issue, that's the go-to. And for me, it doesn't solve any of the problems. It doesn't solve any of the problems. And the board have taken the responsibility of dealing with it. And everybody was like, oh, Frank's the saviour. And the Royals are in, and blah blah blah, and now they're all go, oh, they've made a terrible mistake. Some people are even turning on the Royals. Well, I don't get it.
Well, the Royals, if it weren't for Darren Royal, this club would have gone to the pits, wouldn't it? It would have gone. We were two weeks away from a winding up order. Darren Royal effectively saved our clubs by, putting the hard work in the background. And now people are saying they've got it wrong and it's the jobs for the boys. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I'll have the argument with any of you who wants to come on the show and have a talk about it, because I think you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself by saying that Darren Royal out, Joe Royal out. You're a disgrace. And what we had for the last 4 years under Abdallah Mo, Barry Owen, and now you're turning on the Royals. It's laughable. It's laughable. I can't even believe I'm saying it, but you're absolutely ridiculous.
After a few months like this, the thing is that people are going to make mistakes, right?
Yeah,
the new board's going to make mistakes. David Underwood's going to make mistakes. We make mistakes. You make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. The point is, do you start jumping down on people's backs, and do you start criticizing people and telling them you should be sacked, and do you start shouting abuse at players? I'm talking to those people specifically who do that. I'm not talking to other people, but it has an effect on the person. If I'm stood next to someone in the ground and that the negativity is coming off them, it affects me personally. It affects the people around it. It has an effect, and I'm trying to challenge that, and I'm trying to get people to think about that. That's all I'm doing. And the people that have reacted really badly to it, I suggest, are the people who, obviously, there's the lady doth protest too much. It must be those people that are actually, I'm not going to say guilty of it because it's not a crime, but are we not right? What's this? Are we not worried about the result? Obviously, we're worried about the results. The comments from Everton fans,
all right,
a progression on the pitch. Yeah, of course there are concerns, but the point is that look what people were. Shez has to go, right? So he went. So what was after Shez? Was it better? Obviously not. People are saying not. In the short term, it's not better, right? But so if we start screaming for Unsworth out, then what's next? Is it going to be better?
The board are wrong, or very wrong out there. They can't do right for doing wrong. They get what Shez out, they bring someone in. They're not performing, not results. But again, it's just like today, like all them tweets and all them comments. Not one of you have decided to have the balls to come on this show and have it out with us. Not one of you. So that just goes to show you've got nothing constructive to say, but throw negativity out. Not one of you have come on, and not one of you have actually said we'll come on the phone and
let's have a debate. Let's talk about it. We're not enemies. We're all fans of the same football club. I want us to find common ground. I want us to.
We need to unify as a fan base, don't we?
We do, but I'm talking about a vocal minority that unfortunately make a lot of noise, and for me personally, they make life more difficult. And I'm calling it out, and I'm entitled to my opinion, just as you're entitled to your opinion. We've created this platform so that you can come on and say what you want to other Oldham fans, and somebody who has done, is Adrian. So let's bring him in.
Adrian,
that's initial rant out of the way. Adrian, we'd like you to please take the floor.
How you doing, guys?
All right, mate.
I'm not going to. Last time I was on I took up the offer to wait in the green room when I finished, and I got a bit shit-faced. So
we noticed.
I'm just going to make this brief. I've taken some notes, and I'll follow. I follow what goes on the, on the podcast and stuff. But I went on Saturday. I went to Solihull, and I think I said to Matt, it was like a proof of the pudding is in the eating moment for me, because I thought, look, it's 2 weeks off. There's some players coming in, etc., etc. I went down on my own. I'm a bit of a billionaire, mate. So I went down there, drove down there, and I purposely looked at the woman, and they looked so professional. They looked so professional. There were so many coaches on there. They looked at. I mean, the strikers one side of the pitch, and I had the defenders. It was all so professional, banging the goals in. And I thought, surely it's going to happen. Surely it's going to happen. But it just didn't, And it was a bit of an experience, I mean, I've written some notes down there, and everybody's talking about what's happening. For me, the club is sorted. The club is done, dusted. We've got the structure. you know, and invite anybody to go onto the club website and look at the depth of staff. You know, the people that are in place. It's sorted. It's all done. You know, but I do think, having seen that performance on Saturday, I really do think I'm having my questions about David Unners. I've got to say that because, you know, I mean, I listen to, you know, to people's opinions. You know, it started 5 at the back? It seemed to be 3 at the back at the weekend. And I love Clark, and, you know, I mean, you know, and, you know, they you know, the long ball, the big balls were coming in. They were holding the line, but they soon got found out. You know, and our midfield was completely anonymous. You have Reed up front, and he was, you know, I mean, it didn't get any service whatsoever. You know, and nothing changed. You know. We were okay in the first half. We were torn apart in the second half. I don't know what it was like on Tuesday, because I know you said that Andy was going. You said he might come on the podcast, but I don't know what we were like. I listened to the commentary, you know, the Latics player, which, and as a side, is absolutely dreadful. And it's about time somebody in the club sorted that out, because one, the paucity of the commentary, and two, you know, the paucity of you know, how you get it, you know, because it's hardly ever there. Somebody needs to get a grip with that. I mean, you guys should do it. You do a much better job, even on a mobile phone. But I'm not going to go too deep into that. I'd just like to, I mean, as I said, I think the club's sorted. The club is sorted, but I do share the doubts that many people do about Unsworth's ability to change the team and to read the game and to put the best team out there. You know, it was, you know, I've watched non-league football. I watched National League South, you know, and there was a guy, Scottish guy, Dallas. He played last Saturday. He just tore us apart. The speed, you know, I mean, the movements. You know, we just don't have that. We don't have that. And I heard the boo boys at the end, and I kind of wanted to boo myself, but I didn't. I didn't boo. And I heard the singing about Sheridan, and it's all very sad.
What did you think of that?
I think it was one. I think it's disrespectful.
Agreed.
2, I think it's naive.
Agreed.
3, I think I can understand why certain elements are doing that, because I think that's the only way they can express their discontent, because they just want immediacy. They want results, like we all do. And I could see how I was disappointed. I was so disappointed because, you know, I read the, you know, you listen
why
to
why didn't you sing that? Why didn't you sing here to you, Johnny Sheridan? Why didn't you sing?
No, because that's a step backwards, isn't it? That's not going to help anybody.
Agreed. Thank you.
That's not going to help anybody at all. And it's just, you know, if you want to sing that, you know, I was disappointed. I was furious at part. I mean, I heard some remarks. I mean, Rooney, who I don't think has a good relationship with fans. A lot of people agree. I mean, he was sort of almost in a sort of slanging match with some of the fans behind the goal. It's just pretty toxic, and it's really awful, you know. So the club's good.
The question is like, it is, and that kind of toxicity and that kind of, where there's that kind of negativity between the players and the fans and all that. How do we show, because we share the same concerns, the results speak for themselves, and we're not immune to like, we're not happy clapping up. We're just as concerned with the league position. We're just as concerned with the results. But so the question I'm trying to ask is, and people are getting a bit personal about it, but what do we do instead? How can we, you know, because we need to be patient to some point, don't we? I mean, but like I
understand that.
I don't have the answers.
No, I understand that, Matt. I think, you know, the club's tied with the contract that they've got with Unsworth, and he's back with himself. You know, they're tied to it a certain extent, but I mean, you know, there has to be a point where, you know, maybe Mr. Unsworth stays in the coaching staff, but something's got to be done, because I really have my doubts about his ability to, to field the players that he's got. So, I mean, if you look at the players that he's signed quite a few now. How long? And the support will fall away. And I'm not so much the support will fall away. It's the negativity that bothers me, and that toxicity that bothers me, because there's a baying crowd out there, isn't there? Which, as I say, it's the only way they can express their discontent, and it's toxic, and that upsets me a little bit. So I think it's got to come now. I think it's got to come from the club. They've got to decide what they're going to do. What are they going to do? Are they going to, go on?
Well, no, I want to wrap this call up and bring. We've got quite a few people waiting in the back now.
Yeah.
But it's a good call. Like, what do we do? Where do we go next? How do we diffuse the situation with this negativity among certain elements of the fan base and the impatience and all this kind of stuff? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But one question for you: stick or twist?
Me? What with Unsworth?
Yeah.
For me, it's stick with him behind the scenes, but twist and get somebody in within the club to actually give the guy a bit of a break, give him some confidence, because we're building a project here. I know, but I don't think at the moment it's a crisis of confidence. I think something's got to go. That's for me. So it's a stick. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks for that. We're going to bring David in now. Thanks for that, pal. All the best, Adrian. Take care of yourself.
Cheers.
David.
Hello.
All right, mate. How are you doing?
All right, guys.
Yeah, good, mate.
Not bad.
You were dropping some comments in there, weren't you, about whether booing or not? Is this the real conversation we should be having?
Well, I just think on this. I mean, as it turns out, the conversation is now going down the direction that I think it should have done. That guy who's just been on has covered a lot of my points. I was there last night, and the first thing I said, there was no toxicity last night. It was a bit of a resignation to the way we're playing, and it was a bit of a dull atmosphere. But there was no booing, there was no abuse being thrown. It was calm, no toxicity at all last night. But I'm probably sort of with yourselves that I don't really want us to be hiring and firing managers every 2 minutes. But that's becoming my only argument at the moment. I haven't got anything else to defend Unsworth with. I don't want us to be changing managers every 2 minutes, but I've not seen anything from what he's doing to convince me he's the right person for the job. And it's when it's a stick or twist, I'm right in the middle at the minute. I don't know whether he should go or not, because we need to find. I mean, the other guy said about getting somebody in. Well, John Eberl and Francis Jeffers are there. There's three, quality coaches, quality ex-footballers are there, and they don't seem to be able to get it right. I mean, yesterday, 1-0 down, and we take Reid. I mean, he was really poor, but he was up front, isolated on his own, and we take him off, and we just bring another striker on and leave him isolated up front on his own. We don't seem to, it's so rigid the way we're playing. We don't seem to be able to change anything.
I thought from comments that I've heard, we did play well at some points in the game, and we could have gone on to win it. Did we hit the bar and hit the post? Is that?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it on Twitter earlier. We seem to be really good at starting games well. 10 minutes, first 10 minutes of a lot of games, we look really bright, and then we disappear for an hour. And last night was the same. First 10 minutes, I thought, yeah, we're looking on the front foot, we're having a go. But then we offered nothing for 70 minutes. We hit the bar. Tollett was our best player by a mile, in my opinion. He hit the bar with a shot. Never really looked like it were going in. And then they went straight up the field. Well, they didn't go straight up the field. The ball came back to Reid. He lost it because he couldn't hold it up. He then broke away and scored and made it 1-0. And that's when we suddenly sort of decided we'll give it a go now, which is with 15 minutes to go, we suddenly start playing a bit of football, and we were a little bit unlucky. I mean, again, we hit the bar sort of 90th minute and the breakaway and 2-1 game over. But we were only getting 20 minutes of decent football, and it's only when, based on the last two games, when we've been absolutely desperate.
For me, we have to try and put it in context of where we've come from, what the situation has been at the club. like the amount of rebuilding that has to go on, and putting a team in place that, like you said, Unsworth, Jeffers, Ebril, right? Between them, they've got the credentials, they've got the experience, right? Who do we bring in their place in halfway through the season? So we're straight away we're on to our third manager of the season. Is it going to be any better? Or we don't see there's no guarantees, because there was everyone that was calling for Sheds' head has got something worse, right? So there's no guarantee. So what I'm saying is, for the people that are sort of panicking and screaming that he needs to go, and you say about there's no toxicity, but there's a lot of tension within the fan base, isn't there? It's on a knife.
I think there's a lot of tension on Twitter, Matt.
Right.
Like say social media. I didn't go to the Solihull game, and I did hear the chants on the radio commentary.
Yeah,
which seemed like just silly, really, just daft.
Disrespect. It's disrespectful. That's what it is.
Yeah, completely. But within the ground last night, there was no real abuse being thrown at the players. In fact, they were actually clapped off by quite a few as well last night.
I think that's good. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think as long as the players are giving their all, and the fans will respond to that. I just want things to be. We all want things to improve. And I just think that there is a responsibility within the fans, as much as there is a responsibility within every other element of the club, to play a part in that. And that's what I'm trying to get people to think about. I'm not having to go at anyone personally. I'm trying to get people to think about that as a collective. When things are difficult, how do we respond? That's because panicking in a difficult situation tends not to result in good decision making. So and so that you don't want a board to panic, you don't want managers to panic, you don't want players to panic, right? So we're in a culture within this football club where everything's been going downhill for such a long time that everybody panics. and I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is, how do we break away from that and collectively as fans try and support what's going on, rather than being.
The only way I think that'll change for everybody is us somehow digging a result out from somewhere in the next few weeks.
Sunday's a big game.
I'm a bit worried, really, because I personally don't think Sunday will be on with this weather we're having at the moment. And then, if it's not, we've only got Gateshead before we have the double header against Notts County, which, even on our best of form, will be two really difficult games.
Yeah.
When we hit the new year, we could be in an awful lot of trouble. And then, so we got to win Sunday if it's on. But and the same with Gateshead. For me, we've got 3 home games coming up: the cup game and those 2, and we've got to win all 3.
Yeah.
And if we do that, it might just change people's opinions. It might just relax it all and calm everything down. But I'm just, based on the changes he was making last night when we were 1-0 down, and we needed something different. They didn't have any ideas. It was just like for like swaps, and it didn't convince me that he knew how to change things, or was had a real clue of what he was doing, and that worries me immensely a bit, to be honest with you. We are getting to that point where we better start panicking, and we're also getting to the point where we might need to hear from the club to see if they've got a contingency plan if we do go down. Because that's the other worries I'm hearing from everybody, that if we go down, we're finished. We need. It's reaching that point where it will start getting to panic stations unless we get some wins quick.
All right, Dave.
Dave. Well, thanks very much, mate. It's been a pleasure having you on. I think you're first time caller as well, so please come on again. Yeah, and you've made some great points. So thanks very much, mate.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, Dave.
Take care.
Right, I think we're going to have to bring other Dave in, because he's calling from Nova Scotia.
From Nova Scotia.
We might end up losing him. We're due to Atlantic interference or something. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
All right. Yeah, I know. We've spoken a few times, haven't we? Quite a few times back and forth. We've exchanged messages and whatnot over the last couple of years. You keep an eye on everything that's going on at Latics from Canada.
Yep.
What do you make of everything at the minute?
I think a lot of fans have underestimated how badly the state the club was in. You can go as far back as say 1997 on when in my opinion, when the decline started. To be perfectly honest, and it's only till now that we've got people in that are starting to look at things root to branch and are trying to do something about it. On the field, as everyone has said, it's not good. It's not good at all. I think he needs to possibly have a transfer window to try and get some more of his signings in. I also think the previous callers, they had a good point. The club needs to come out and say what the plan is, whether that's through a fans forum or through some other form of communication, of what the short, medium, and long-term plans are. I mean, we kind of know in regards to the stadium ownership, but we don't really know too much about anything else beyond that. I mean, I have been listening to the interviews with Darren and various other club staff, but they need to come out and say that they're going to back him, or that we know things are bad.
The old vote of confidence, though. If they do that, everyone will be like, always have the vote of confidence.
Yeah, they are backing him with players, though, and signing players. So I don't think the club aren't trying, and the ownership aren't. They are definitely backing him, and he's getting, infrastructure right for the players, changing the players' lounge around, good working environment. So again, it's the off the field stuff that people aren't seeing, which I get. The results on the pitch are more important, but you can't change it overnight. You can't change this.
The argument is that people are going to make is that we've gone backwards results wise since it's come in now, and we have, and we've there are people that think there's work going on with the players on the training ground. There's things. Sometimes it does take some time for it to click with what's going on the training ground. Now, people will say, well, there's no evidence of that. I understand all that as well. But the question is that does sacking the manager at this stage now do more harm than good? Or in the long term? That's the big question, really, I think.
Exactly that. And it's like you're saying, things we've been in such a decline for a very long time that, to your guys' point, it's not going to change overnight, unfortunately. It's going to take time.
Yeah. So what do you think? Are you sticking or twisting, David?
Sticking for now. Give him the transfer window in January and see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling in, mate. It's really great, and I hope what's the weather like in Nova Scotia?
Not too bad. Very similar to England. The snow hasn't arrived yet.
Well,
it's a little bit like Nova Scotia at the minute. It's pretty cold. So, but yeah, I mean, you're coming back to Boundary Park with no problem for you anyway. So, spending winters over there. So, listen, good to talk to you. Thanks for getting in touch.
All the best, mate. Take care.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks very much.
Okay, I mean, he's top of the Latics mind table. I mean, for that alone, we have to give him some respect. So here he is.
He looks very focused.
Has he frozen? In
Paddy?
That pensive? No.
Hi, sorry.
You're very much like, I thought you were praying then for a minute, mate.
I don't really know what I was watching. Something with Anthony Costa on BBC, I think.
Well, there you go. Is that how you get your Latics mind knowledge? It must
Listen,
be.
Don't pay too much attention to the phone in. Right, go on. Hit us with your rhythm stick.
I only phoned in because Dave said before about the people that replied to the tweet haven't phoned in. So here I am.
All right. So what are you doing, Paddy? Are you sticking or twisting?
I'm very in the middle, but I don't think he could complain if he was sacked tonight. You mentioned yourself the other week, Matt, that there is nothing on the pitch that shows it's getting any better. You appear to have changed your stance recently and have become very defensive of him, but there's nothing that indicates that things are getting better. In reaction to your tweet earlier, Dave, why does it have to be one or the other? Why does it have to be either booing or back in the team?
It was just a poll again. It was trying to give people a bit of a stance to see where they're, because all I saw was negativity. You know, I know the results aren't getting better, aren't great. We all know that. We're second from bottom in the bloody National League. Nobody wants to be there. But at the moment, it's either the fan base is so split, and that's all you see. You obviously Unsworth out. He's got to change. It's not good enough, or give him a chance. And that's all I can see. There's not,
is it split?
I think, in my view, in my opinion, I think it really is at the moment.
There's people with different views, but as a fan base, I think we're pretty united, really.
I think we're splitting.
On Saturday at Solihull, the fans that were there got behind the team until it went 2-0 down, and I don't for 1 minute understand why they were singing "Here's to you, Johnny Sheridan."
You know, it's quite fractured though. So if you're going to sing about an ex-manager, you know what I mean. You know, we've never sung for an ex-manager when Sheridan were having a bad time, even when Benede was having a bad time.
Well, we sung it at Harrogate when Benishaw was manager, and I'm sure you two were probably involved with that as well.
No, in terms of that was due to the fact that it was rumoured that he was coming back in for Sheridan, wasn't it? That was a different. I think that's a different context. I think, to be fair,
it's the same context. We had a manager, and we were singing for a different manager.
Well, he was an interim, wasn't he?
Well, he wasn't really, was he?
Listen, at the time under Abdallah and Moore, I said many times it didn't matter who we got in. It didn't matter who the manager was under them two. That wasn't the issue. The issue was getting rid of them two, because the head coach didn't have a chance.
Is the manager an issue now then?
I think the results are an issue, which is down to the manager. Yeah, I think there is.
I think it's up to the board, right? It's up to the board. The board. We wanted new owners to come in. New owners have come in. The old ones have gone. We've appointed a board. Now, I was thinking about this the other day. Maybe in hindsight, having the big fanfare and the parade and making all, maybe it sort of set the expectations a little bit too high. Maybe they should have come in a little bit more under the radar and kept it a little bit more low key. Maybe that's an observation that I had the other day. But by the by, everyone was delighted for them to come in. Everyone said, "Oh, we've got people we can trust. We've got to let them get on with it now, and it's going to get better." The manager's come in. He's had 16 games. It's not going well, but nobody's putting any trust and any faith in everything that's going on behind the scenes at the club, including the manager, that it's going to come right. And so,
Matt,
you couldn't disagree with what point, Paddy?
Everybody still knows that what's going on behind the scenes is all fine. There's no issues with anything that's going on behind the scenes. The problem is what's happening on the pitch.
I know, but it's all connected, Paddy, isn't it?
No,
people are calling for Darren Royal to get out on Twitter today.
Who?
There's numerous tweets.
Anybody that I see and speak to have got no problems with Darren Royal, what he's doing. No problems with the Rothwells.
I'm not saying that they've got a problem with those people, Paddy, but what I'm saying is that all of a sudden they don't have faith in this decision, this appointment, and that this is part of something which fits into the longer term projects, and that given time, it's going to come together. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like it's isolating the coach and the manager as the issue. Remove that, and then you bring somebody else in, and everything's going to be fine. They're trying to put something together which is bigger than that. That's what I'm saying.
But the coach and the manager are responsible for what's going on the pitch. The people are turning on the manager for the results on the pitch. It's nothing to do with Darren Royal or Rothwell or Joe Royal or anything like that. They've appointed him, yeah, but the problem, no one's got an issue with anything that's going on behind the scenes. Everyone is happy with what's going on in the club. The problem that everyone's got is what's going on the pitch.
Yeah, we've all got that problem. We all share that. But
I don't understand where everyone's getting at Darren Royal and Joe Royal from, because
not everybody is getting at Darren Royal and Joe. Some people are. Some people are turning against. Everyone's different. We all have different opinions. Lots and lots of people have different opinions. So we can't possibly cover it all. But the point is that the people that we were happy to come in and take over the club have made a decision, and they've got their man and they want to stick by him. And are we going to back that, or are we going to call for them to sack him? That's the question that I'm asking. Are we going to back them and say, okay, we believe in what you've done. We believe that you've made the right choice. He's not proving it now, but you're going to back him in the transfer window. We'll offload some players, bring some new ones in, and have a bit of faith that it's going to turn. What I'm seeing is people don't have faith in that. Don't have faith in the board and the club that they've made the right decision.
No one's offering a constructive solution. That's what the issue is. In my opinion, I think it's just Unsworth. What do we do next?
Solution? Just keep blind faith with Unsworth at the moment.
I'm not saying keep blind faith. Obviously, something will give, but at the moment, you can't keep us back sacking managers, can you? It just doesn't work, does it?
What happens if the next manager comes in and loses his first 10 games?
Sack him.
Sack him. Right, brilliant. So then what? So what's the issue then? Is the issue in the manager, or is the issue something deeper than that?
Well, but like we've just said, there's no problems within the football club, is there? The football club's well run, so the issue is
it's well run. It's been well run for 4 months after being mismanaged for 20 odd years.
Yeah, but all the players that are here now haven't been here before, then, have they? These are all. Go on, sorry.
Where we're starting though, we're starting from the fact where we're recruiting players from we had to scrape the bottom of the barrel like last season and during pre-season, whoever would sign for us, right? And I don't mean that disrespectfully to the players that we've got, but like, you know, there are some players that obviously that are just not cutting it and wouldn't fit into the team that Unsworth would want. Shez was struggling with the same players. We know that, right? So we've not got a great amount of synergy football-wise. And, you know, it's 4 months in. So the club is in good hands, but it's still got a lot of catching up to do. Look at Solihull and Boreham would have been on an upward trajectory for ages. They've had a settled team. We don't have that. A lot of the teams in this division, look at Scunthorpe. They've had the same kind of mismanaged. They're in the same position as we are. We're both in this position for a reason, and it doesn't just correct overnight. And the mentality of going from one of a lack of confidence and fear that the players have in the mindset doesn't just flip overnight, and it can't be expected for David Unsworth to just be able to flick a switch and everything be great. Having said that, we need to get some wins. I get it.
It's 16 games. 14 games, sorry. And he's had 1 win.
Yeah.
I think I could put my wife in charge of 14 games and she'd win more than 1 with this squad in the conference.
Right, well, let's go back to this. Let's go back this season and last season. I know it's a different set of players, but it's the same club. It's the same. Like we've talked about it on the podcast. We've talked about it, about culture, about how difficult it is to change things. And that's what I'm talking about within the fan base as well. Like getting our mindset from one of like where we just expect the worst all the time and we expect situations to be solved by something which we once hated. We all once hated sacking managers. Yeah. And now we can't get enough of it. Now we can't. We've moved on to something. Behavior that we
managers.
Well, maybe not, maybe not. But yeah, but like, you know, we've not had the who, you know, it doesn't work, does it?
No,
it doesn't work. With our history is littered with evidence that sacking managers over and over and over again doesn't work.
Is it that doesn't work, or is it replacing them with worse managers?
Well, so if you become a club with a reputation for sacking managers all the time, are you going to get the best candidates applying for that job, first of all?
You know what? I know for a fact that you would, because every single manager would come in and think they'll be the person to change Oldham.
Our club has had such a bad reputation over the years that people haven't wanted to come here. Players, managers, supporters,
agents, even agents won't even touch us.
So we've only just got a recruitment system in place, haven't we? I don't think you can isolate it to just
one thing.
David Unsworth. He's obviously the target of the fans because of the results since he's come in charge. And I accept that, and he would have to accept that because he's a manager of a football club, and that's where the book usually stops. I'm just trying to say that there is more to it than that, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not so sure I agree, because it's
stick or twist, Paddy. Stick or twist, because you said you were unsure.
I am really in the middle. I think really what it is, I don't think they're going to sack him. He is their man. He is their mate. They're not going to sack him. But if I woke up in the morning and he'd been sacked, I wouldn't lose a minute's sleep over it.
Okay.
Right, okay, Paddy. Well, thanks very much for coming on. It's good for the.
You caught me at my worst because my Nando's hasn't been delivered yet, and it was an hour ago.
Sack the Nando's delivery driver. That's what you should do for tonight, mate.
All right, Paddy. Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Right. I just want to say to JB and Neil that it says your devices aren't connected. So if you want to get in touch, you might need to reset your connection or whatever, because it says you're not connected. So let's bring this fella in, eh?
Exclusive.
Ibit.
Good evening, guys.
You all right, pal?
Hi, pal.
Yeah, I'm all right. I hope you both are okay.
Oh, just about, mate.
Well, we're still in relegation, so I'm not doing that great, if I'm honest with you, mate.
Yeah, it's not looking very good at the moment. And bizarrely, David Unsworth rang me last Sunday, which was a bit surprised. And after listening what he had to say to me, I'm slightly in the middle after listening with what he told me, because he said the club has suffered relegation 2 times. Nobody knows what's happening behind the scene, because we're starting all over again.
Yeah.
And he said we need the fans and people to stop saying Unsworth out, this and that. He said yes, and I can understand my results have been shocking, but at the moment I've got my full support by the board. And he said it's down to Frank. If Frank wants to sack me, he can sack me, but he said he's going nowhere, David Unsworth, because he said I was delighted to get this Oldham job, but he wants the supporters to rally behind him. And I told him,
are you rallying behind him, Ibi?
Yes, because he rang me on Sunday, explained everything to me, and after listening what he was coming up with, I fully agreed with him, because there was few little things which I didn't know about, and he went into details with me about how the club is getting rebuilt again, and he said there was agents' fees where we had to pay them back before we could bring players. And he said there's little things like that needed changing in the club. And I told him, yes, I can understand that, but your results on the pitch hasn't been fantastic. And you need to start pick. He fully agreed to me. He said, I know it's been looking very bad, but he said the players need to perform. I said the players need to perform right now, because we're losing ground. Your target was the playoffs. I told him that the playoffs have gone at the moment, and he said I can only do what I can do.
What about? I mean, a couple of years ago, Plymouth were bottom at Christmas, weren't they?
Yeah.
Was it League Two?
Yeah.
And they made it into the playoffs, so it can be done. I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's going to happen, but it can be done. Just because we're bottom of the table at this time of the year doesn't mean we're going to get relegated automatically. But it's a worry, isn't it? So,
are you sticking or twisting, Ibby?
At the moment, I'm in middle because he was very honest with me on Sunday evening. Right. He rang me after the England game, and he said I will go in more details with you. He wants to see me. I told him I will sort something out. But after listening to his view, I can absolutely understand where he was coming from. But I told him time is taking along. You need wins. If not, and he said I can understand football's brutal. He said if you put Jose Mourinho in charge, what happens? It takes time. He said football takes time.
Yeah.
And he said that he needs the fans to fully back him, because at the moment he's absolutely upset with the tweets, because he said I've seen everything online and it's not helping me. And I told him it's happening because your results are not picking up. And nobody's against Darren Royal. Yeah, and secondly, no one's against the Royals. Fair enough, the Royals did save the club by getting Frank in, but in the future, if there's any decision making, they need to reconsider what they're thinking, because they need football people inside that camp, really, alongside them.
David Unsworth is an England international with a great pedigree of coaching. Darren Royal's been the chief executive at Wigan Athletic. Joe Royal has been a seasoned manager and won promotions with the likes of Oldham, Man City. So they are football people, Ibby. They are football people, no matter what you say.
But there was rumours a few weeks back, because Tom Finn, who used to work at Oldham, he offered his service, and John Williams, who were at Blackburn Rovers, but I don't know what's happened with that. But this outside people are willing to come in and help them to get the club back up and running. But it's down to Frank. Like David Unsworth said, it's all down to Frank. But he's made it clear he is not resigning, David Unsworth. And he said, I'm going to be here until something changes. And he's hoping that he wants to succeed. He said he wants to succeed because he's got dreams of managing Everton Football Club down the line, he said.
Right.
Right, mate. Well, listen, do us a favour and keep us updated and give us a shout next week, pal. We've got quite a few callers left, so I'm going to
No worries. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Ibby. Take care, mate. Bye now.
Cheers.
How do you follow that, Gaz?
I think his phone were going. It might have been Unsworth. So
who? Come on, you must have had. Who have you had a conversation with this week? And what? You know, you're going to follow Ibby. You need to come up with something good.
I can't with that, to be fair, but, you know, I'll probably just end the call there, actually. Stole my thunder.
What's your point, mate?
Sorry, excuse me.
All right,
sorry. Dave. Yeah, I just choked on my water when you just said that. Sorry, funny.
All right. No, it's all right. Listen, I don't even know where to start. Right, let's go where Paddy said. Off the pitch, there isn't an issue. I don't believe there is anyway. People are happy. People are satisfied that there's progress being made. I know there's facetious comments about steps being paid and what have you, but it's progress and it's all part of the rebuilding plan. However, the fact of the matter is, this fella is not good enough. He is a fraud. You will not tell me differently. The stuff we are hearing come out of Everton fans is scary. I mean, why they're banging on about an under-23s manager, and the things they're saying is ringing so true. It's scary. So I won't hide behind it. I would call the Royals out or whoever made this appointment because it's not worked and it's not followed a usual recruitment process. We said a few weeks ago, on their head be it if this doesn't go well. And it's a shame because of the status they hold with the club. It is a massive shame. Matt, about 4 weeks ago on the pod, you said something that I couldn't agree with more, and you said about Unsworth, about he's got the players coming in, but something has to change on the pitch, and that's down to him. We've picked up a point in 4 since. So, and I say this without prejudice, lads, there has been a change in thought process from you guys. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's on the back of meeting Darren and Dave, and it's made you...
I disagree. Go on.
I don't know if that's because, sometimes when you meet the person who's doing the job, you have a little bit more empathy for them, and I completely understand that. But, I mean, we're not trying to shift your idea of this positivity when it is how it is. I get it, and it'd be lovely, but what kind of parallel universe are you living in? You're trying to change a global outlook of how society looks at things when it's shit. It is shit. People aren't going to be dancing around like the Senegalese. It is shit.
I'm not expecting them to. I'm not expecting them to. I never said they should. First of all, I never said that people shouldn't be unhappy. And like you said, Unsworth does have to results to. He's judged on results. I've never wanted. Someone else is saying it. Big change in these past 2 weeks. There hasn't been a big change in me. I've always backed the manager. I've always backed the team. Right. I've never jumped on players' backs. I've never jumped on managers' backs. Under the last ownership, I always said it was about Mohammed and Abdallah, not the managers. Right. That it was never going to work for them. I don't see the point in jumping on to say after 16 games because people like yourself and other people, guys, and other fans from Everton are saying this. It's just fans talking. Like, I mean, you have to put trust into the people that are running the football club that they've made the right decision. And if they feel they've made the wrong decision and they feel they need to sack him, then they will. And they'll make that decision because that's their responsibility. And that's the responsibility that they took. Fans screaming that, I'm a fraud. I presume you're talking about me. You should have put an apostrophe in. But it's easy for us to shout and say, you should sack him. It's a mistake. He's a fraud. It's easy for us to say that. We're not in a position that have to take the responsibility. And what I'm saying is, I don't think it helps overall. It doesn't help the club and it doesn't help us move in the right direction. Whenever we feel that the board have made a mistake, we jump on them and say, you made a mistake. This person's wrong. Get him out. this player's shit. It's only been like this for years at Latics. Players have come to Boundary Park. They make the debut. It's not good. He's not good enough. He's shit. And it happens, and that's what happens. And it's not going to be. It's not productive.
Well, I'm going to hold my hands up here because I was critical at the Scunthorpe game. I booed. I did boo. And we had it out on the pod. I think it was Ryan was on. You were on, Andy were on, Matt. And I said, it's results-based business. It's got to go. Then, and again, I'd say I have changed my stance in some ways because ultimately, what is it going to achieve by sacking a manager and getting a new one in? It's not going to change anything. It won't.
Hang about though. we can't just stick with a manager for the sake of. No, we want stability, not sacking him.
But we've got a 3-year deal, haven't we? There's
absolutely no substance to that 3-year deal if you're in National League North. It goes. Doesn't last. If he can't manage in the National League, he's not going to manage in National League North. The club won't. I'd put my neck on the line. The club won't survive in National League North. We become part-time. Doesn't work.
On what basis, Gaz? On your opinion? It's just your opinion, man.
Right, equally, so was yours.
Exactly.
But
if
we're going back to the crux of it, this is Oldham Athletic, right? And we've been thrown out about these self-entitled views or not. At the start of this season, it was just short of 9,000 there, 4,500 marching down Sheepfoot Lane. This club and the board and the new ownership have received a lot of praise, and everyone was on board. And we said when we could see it wasn't going right with shares, not the goodwill of the hardcores, but you will lose people whose mates who come along. The Shez thing, I think we parted with Shez because we wanted more than what he was delivering. We're now being told by Unsworth that God, I've been reading Ross Coyne's too much. By David, sorry. We've now been told by Unsworth that the plan all along was avoid relegation. If that was the case, we should have stuck with Shez. We was all led down a path that we were after more. And what this fella's come in, he doesn't know the league. It's a fact he was sat in the away end watching us while Shez was in charge. Well, actually, maybe he needed a season sat in the bloody away end because it's just not working. It's not enough. It is not enough. He's bringing his players in. It's not turning round. I weren't at the last 2 games, so I can't comment on the performances. But from listening to the people who were there, there's just very little signs of encouragement. But when you're coming away with nothing, nil point again, this only goes one way, fellas. We can't. I know we laughed at Paddy when you said, what if it goes wrong again for the next 10 games? But at least he tried to do something.
What about trying to stick with a manager when it's going wrong instead of sacking him? What about trying that? Because we haven't tried that for a long time, have we? Either
I'm not sure in the position we're in we've got that luxury though, Matt. People compare David Unsworth's start.
Sacking the manager's not a luxury either, is it? That just causes potentially more difficulties.
Good leadership has to make decisions. You have to make a decision.
Yeah, and the decision is to either stick or twist, isn't it? That's their decision now.
Twist.
And they'll make that decision because that's their job.
Here's my professional advice. Twist. Get rid. Cut your losses. Start again. Get someone in. John Askey's free. Go and get hold of him. Because we're firefighting for the rest of this season now. But if anyone would like to, bake me a big, massive, humble pie and I will eat it at the end of the season. I'll come on live and eat it.
Very gracious of you guys.
Thank you, mate.
That's me done, lads. Let someone else
mate.
jump in.
Have a good night.
No
thanks, pal.
See, we can all agree to disagree. We don't have to all fall out with each other. I just want to take up Reese because Reese has been giving me some grief on Twitter. I haven't had a massive change of views. Like a massive change of views would have been. I don't understand how you say it's massive.
Call him, Reese.
I've said call in. I've said that. He needs to get results. He does need to get results. That's his job. I never said that I would. I don't understand it. People interpret things as they want and whatever. But let's have a chat with Ryan. All right, Ryan.
All right, lads. It's been going. Well, it's going anyway. Just for the record, I've not had any phone calls from anybody.
Right.
Dave,
okay. Well, no. We only want people that are on the inside track.
No. Right, it's been good, hasn't it, since I was last on the pod.
Yeah.
I was just going to come on and boo and then just leave.
That would have been good.
No, it'd
You
been
should
fun.
have done. You should have done that.
Right. I'm actually very 50-50 what I'd do with at the moment. Seemingly, the one thing I'd be saying to you two is the only answer that you two seem to be giving is sacking managers doesn't help. Now, I'm not saying it does, but that is the only stock response that you seem to be giving. Let's try keeping him. Now, I understand that. I understand what you're saying, but and as Andy always loves his business analogies, right? Now, the one thing I'd say is, if you have a business and you've got everything right above, and it's a shop, you've got everything right above, and then the shop manager keeps putting the fish and chips where they should be, the fruit and veg. What you'd do is you'd get rid of the owner, would get rid of the manager, and he'd put another one in. Do you know what I'm saying? At some point, we've got to look at it and think, right, is this the man for the job? And a good ownership. Everybody's telling me that the Rothwells and the Royals are good owners. We don't know that yet. I'm not saying that they're trying. I'm not saying that their heart isn't in the right place. I'm not saying that they're not trying to do the right things, but they've not proven to me that they're good owners. What they've proven is that they are trying the right things. But just because you're trying the right things, David Unsworth's trying the right things, as in he's trying his best, don't mean that he's any good. And just because the Rothwells and the Royals, their heart's in the right place, that doesn't actually make them good owners. And we might have to find out in a minute whether they are good owners or not. Because if we continue to lose and we get cut adrift at the bottom of the National League and they don't get rid of him, at some point that'll be malpractice. That will be self-sabotage at some point. And this is we're going to find out whether they're good owners or not, I think, soon. But personally, I'd give him, if you look at it, we've got our two easiest games of the season coming up to the end of the season. We've got two teams at the bottom of the table at home. These are our next two league games. I don't think after 14 games, is it, that we've 14 games, one win. If we can't pick up 6 points from these next two games, I don't think that's unreasonable for us to say, sorry, David, you've tried your best. See you in a bit.
Okay, it's not the only argument. You may say, it's right. It's fair enough what you say. I'm not disagreeing with what you say. You made some good points. We don't know after 4 months if these are going to be successful owners, right? We don't know that because they've been here for 4 months. Let's not forget that, right? They will make mistakes, undoubtedly. Some mistakes might be quite costly, but intentions are very important to me. What people's intentions are. How they're trying their best, right? That's important. In terms of keeping the manager, just for the sake of not sacking another manager, the people that are working in the football club day in, day out, the people that are on the training ground, the reports, the things that they're seeing, that we don't see that. We're not privy to that. We make our judgments based on 90 minutes of football every week, once or twice a week. There is more to it than that, right? And so the faith, the trust that we have to put in the new owners is that they're seeing the whole picture, and the board are seeing the whole picture, and that if they decide to keep the manager on, it's because they feel that the whole picture is coming together and it's going to work. Information that we're not privy to, and I understand the concern and the because we don't see it. We're all worried. I'm worried. I don't want us to go down. But I'm hoping that, because the people that are in that position are seeing the bigger picture, if they've got faith in that it's going to kick in and we're going to be all right, I'm just going to be patient and wait rather than kick up a fuss and say you've got to get rid of him, because I don't have enough information to make that choice, and I don't think anybody else has enough information to make that choice as a fan.
I understand your point, and it's very fair. However, there is one piece of information that will override all others, and that's the league table. And if come March, you might think it's March, we might need to get rid of him because, and I know what you're saying about he's got a 3-year contract, but plans go out. Good management has a plan, but it's always ready to adapt. Good managers adapt to their plans. Because if things go wrong, you have to be able to adapt. Whether that's David Unsworth being able to adapt to what's going on the pitch, whether that's Darren Royal going, shit, we are second from bottom. There's only 15 games to go. We've got to get rid of him. This is it. We're going to see what everybody's made of. I think here.
Yeah, I think you're right though. But I'm sure that Darren, Joe, the board, they've got a contingency plan in place, and as Matt said, they've got to make the decision when they feel the decision is needed to be made. I think that's where we are at the moment. I don't think there's, 3-year deal. He's got to go. The next 2 games are vital. They're the 2 easiest games. I don't disagree. I do agree, and it is a results-based business, but it's the board who's going to make the decision. No matter how frustrated we get, and all we can do in that time, in my opinion, is try and get behind the team. That and I know it sounds very happy clappy and a bit soft and a bit wet, whatever you want to call it, but we can't be fractured as we are, because it is still a bit fractured. Would you agree? I think we are fractured as a fan base sometimes.
We are.
When it's going bad, we're splintered all over the place.
That's the nature of the beast, though.
Yeah, I know it is, but I'm just saying, we're more fractured than most because we've been hurt for so long due to the mismanagement in the last 24 years of this club.
But Matt loves his talk about that on the pod. He always mentions about psychology, and now one of the things that like a psychological technique is remembering good instances of what's happened in the past and bringing them to the front. Right now, the problem you've got with this fan base, especially the younger ones, they haven't got those instances to remember. What they remember is they remember that Oldham Athletic get beat. What they remember is the fact that Abdullah came in and gave us a promise, and we went down. And like it or not, people have had a promise from the Rothwells, maybe not directly, but you know what I'm saying, as in ambition-wise. And then this is happening. Now, those people, there's going to be there's another thing, one other point with that. If anybody blamed Abdullah for the first relegation that he got, and we go down here, it has to lie. I'm not having that. Those people cannot turn around and blame Abdullah for this one. They've got to blame the Rothwells because yeah. Now, to me, I think it's quite nuanced. It's all very nuanced. However, you can't just say Abdullah sent us down twice, but then blame him for this one as well. Mm. Do you understand what I'm? I think
it's like looking at psychologically. The hierarchy of needs. I know in business you look at safety, physiological, cognitive, all that sort of. We have a hierarchy of needs as a fan base. It's winning games, good infrastructure, a good owner, a good manager. Do you know what I mean? And it's all these things that interconnect. And if one of them's out of kilter, it does spread and fracture the fan base. But we need that. I think the underlying thing that we haven't got, because it's been so damaged, is faith. We don't have any patience as a fan base either. And it's all these emotive elements that is causing this divide, I think. You know what I mean? We've got the proofs in the pudding with Darren Roy. You can see these things that they're doing, but the emotions, and I know football is a very emotive sport, and it is the 90 minutes when from kickoff, you want to live and breathe it and kick it, because everyone wants to be a professional footballer who watches a football match. However, we need to have that bit more patience with him, I think. We need to give him a chance. And I know I've criticised his tactics. He's trying different tactics. There may be a couple more players that he's going in for. Kurt Willoughby before one. Joe Nuttall maybe is another, rumoured. So he's trying to get that one straight. I don't think he fancies Fond up front, which is surprising to me because he scored 5 goals in 8 games. So I don't know if he needs that transfer window. I don't know what the answer is, and this is why we're on this call, and this is why we do this every week. You know what I mean? It's really difficult.
The thing is, I take all that, right? I take all that. I take on board everything you've said, Ryan. I value your opinion. I value everybody's opinion because it's their own take on things, right? Even if I don't agree with it, I value it, and it's interesting to me to listen to it, right? But the thing is that at the end of the day, if we go down to National League North, Ryan, he's still going to go and watch Latics. He's still going to be a Latics fan.
I will be a Latics fan, and I will still go on it, but it will depend on something. And I've said this. Somebody said they'll keep him if we go down. I won't be going then because it'll prove to me that it's nepotism, as in just jobs for the boys. I wouldn't, because to me there would be a lack of ambition. Then it'd be nothing that I wouldn't be going then.
I think that's quite. I think that's valid.
I'm not sure I agree with that either, because what do you do then? You've got a lot. There's an argument for keeping a manager when you get relegated, when you've got because you're just starting all over again. He's got players that he doesn't fancy and all this kind of stuff. So there's different sides to the argument, isn't there? Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
You can't have 30 games, take them down, and then keep your job, and then expect me to say, "Oh, that's fine." That's fine. I'm still going to have faith in you. What faith could I possibly have on somebody that's had 30 odd games, took us down? Do you understand what I mean? I wouldn't have any faith. The faith would have gone straight out the window.
Flip it on its head though. You have 30 games, goes down, and then he wins his first 10 in the National League, and we're flying. I know it's difficult, isn't it? It's staffed, but
yeah. But it's still. I've got to say, you cannot. You're never going to convince me on that. But there's only. Just before I go, because I'll let somebody else come on. I know you've been here for over an hour now. But about booing and giving them stick, right? It happens at every single club going. Who's the most successful club in Europe? Real Madrid. Who are the ones that have the white flag hankies all the time? Yeah. Real Madrid. It happens from Real Madrid to Oldham Athletic. Unfortunately, you're not going to change. Well, or fortunately, you're not going to change it. It happens everywhere. It's part and parcel of it. It's part of. There's going to be shit in your job you don't like. There's a lot in my job I don't like, and that's something they've got to deal with in their job, unfortunately. Right, I'm going to let you go, lads. I'm going to.
All right, mate. Thanks for getting in touch, pal. All the best.
No worries. Speak to you again.
All right. Just, Unsworth didn't pay me anything the other week.
He paid me though.
Yeah, I paid Dave. Yeah, but. The thing is, I'm going to let the board make the decision. That's my stance on it, and I'm not going to put pressure on the board to make that decision. They're going to make the decision based on their own views. Danny wouldn't care if we were playing in the street; he'd watch it from the pavement. So that's different to what Ryan's view was. But we all have different views, right? And no one's right, no one's wrong. It gives us something to talk about at the end of the day. I don't know if we're actually doing well. If we'll actually, people will enjoy doing the phoning and stuff like that. I think people prefer it when we're doing badly. And there are a number of people that are waiting in the wings here that want to get in, but I think an hour and 8 minutes is enough.
Can we not just get on to see if they want stick or twist quickly? Just a quick word from each of them, stick or twist.
Go on then, and then call back next week with and we'll right. We've made a list of you there. We'll give you priority next week, but we'll go with David.
Stick or it's very quick, David. Stick or twist? What would you do?
Twist.
Twist.
Oh,
thanks,
okay.
David.
Cheers,
Go on,
David.
John. Stick or twist? John.
Nope.
There you go. Andy. We'll get you on next week for a bit longer, but stick or twist, mate, quickly.
100% stick.
There you go, 1-1.
Cheers, Andy.
Thanks, mate.
Dave,
stick or twist?
Stick, all the way.
Ooh.
Thanks, Dave. Come on next week, mate. We'll get you back on. Thank you. 2-1.
And north of the border, Graham?
Stick or twist, quickly, Graham. Thank you, mate.
I was stick, but also good luck on Saturday against France.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate
Come on
that.
next week. We'll get you on for a bit longer, pal. Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, well, Stick went out in the end there on that little section. But...
Apologies to Graham, John, David.
Yeah.
We will get you on for longer next week if you do want to call back in. We really do. We've just had an inundated amount of calls. Thank you for each and every single one of you. Gaz, Paddy,
everyone else. Thanks for all your comments and stuff as well.
Yeah, I got paired in pies. Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I don't
beef paste.
I don't mind getting some steak. I just like it when you've thought about it at least, or you're at least accurate. That's fine. Unsworth will be judged by the board, and if he's not up to the task, in their opinion, then he'll be gone. And I'm going to wait for that, and then that's up to them, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's not a great season. We've got, hopefully, the game against Torquay at the weekend will survive the weather.
We're going to talk about the covers they've asked, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, the covers. The club of Dean Pickering, the groundsman, sent us a message on Twitter. They're looking for volunteers with the covers. I'm not quite sure where you need to get in touch. I guess you just phone the club or email the club and say that you'll help with the covers on Friday and Sunday. So if you're free and you're able to do that, please contact the club to help with the covers, because obviously it's going to be a cold one. And
it's not a covers band; it's the covers for the pitch.
Thanks for that, Dave.
Yeah, it's just you never know, because you're in Spiked Island. Great covers band.
Oh yeah, good plug. Yeah. Right. Thanks for joining in, everyone, the debate. I love you all in a way.
Thanks very much, guys. Honestly, thanks very much. We're going to be here as long as you need us to be. As this is Sheeran. Hour and 11 minutes, not bad, mate. Well done.
Not bad.
Sayonara. See you next week.
The Latics Football Phone-In is hosted and produced weekly by Matt Dean and Dave Bradley for Q Pod Productions. Please follow and interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at OAFC Podcast, and subscribe to youtube.com/The Boundary Park Alert System. The Latics Football Phone-In is released as a podcast every Friday morning at 7 a.m. and follows the Boundary Park Alert System podcast every Monday morning, also at 7 a.m. A huge thank you goes to those people who already subscribe and support the podcast. We appreciate you all, and if you'd like to help us out, please visit oafcpodcast.co.uk and click support, or find the link in the podcast show notes. It's only $2.99 per month, and we'll draw a subscriber at random every month to win an Oldham Athletic shirt of your choice. A special mention must go to Lee's Field Development for providing the prizes on the Wheel of Wonder. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, please get in touch. The title music for the show is by a Manchester DJ and producer Starion, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records. Thanks for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.